It's Saturday night in Florida, and while many would head out to their local short track for their dose of mayhem, here at GSRC we like to put an 80s flair on things. Let's get ready to watch round 11 of the Camel GT series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Daniel Zippy Salmon. Behind the scenes is our director, Bobbert O'Brien, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Daytona's road course under the lights is iconic. Let's get a closer look at it with our track guide. Welcome to the Daytona International Speedway. While many oval fans associate this Central Florida track with mainly NASCAR, the road course has gained just as much worldwide fame thanks to it hosting motorcycles and sports cars for decades. In fact, the flagship road race, the 24 Hours of Daytona, has become a major draw for drivers of all disciplines, many eager to have a go at endurance racing. The stats make this place sound relatively simple, with 12 corners on the regular road circuit and 14 on the NASCAR version, both spread amongst 3.5 miles. Indeed, a majority of the lap is spent on the oval portion, where you fly along the notoriously steep banking. But it's easy to underestimate the challenge presented to the drivers. The infield portion begins with the scary kink entry of turn 1. Not only is it the fastest part of the track, but the transition from the banking to the flat tends to upset the car as you slow it down. There's also the bus stop chicane on the backstretch. Added in the 80s, this is a tricky piece of circuit that punishes a poor exit severely, with it leading back into the latter half of the oval. As you'd expect, the long periods on throttle mean that drafting tends to play a factor in the racing. It also means passing isn't usually too great of an issue if you have the pace to catch someone. The more difficult thing is managing to gap your opponent so that they don't ride in your slipstream once you get by. With half a century of endurance racing collected among these walls, it's not unfair to say that road racers have just as much claim to call Daytona home. Fans who come to watch certainly won't be disappointed by the high speeds and fantastic thrills it invariably provides each year. Well, as I said, this place has seen plenty of great action with sports cars, including the Nissan here at Daytona back in '89 Zippy, but they're racing the NASCAR layout, which should be interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely not the one that I'm used to driving, but I think where it's a little bit smoother, a bit kinder, these more seasoned vehicles are going to have a lot of fun there, and especially be a little bit easier to pass as well, a bit more straightaway, a bit more drafting opportunity as well. Nice wide parts of the track, but it's definitely going to be a good one there, Joe. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully the guys at home are looking forward to it as well, as we get to see some vintage metal go wheel to wheel.
Indeed. It's only this round and the next one left. So as we take a look at the championship, Javier Del Olmo leads. And I've been trying not to say this the whole season, but now it is starting to look like a real serious possibility that Javier Del Olmo will be the first driver to not only win both the Audi and Nissan championships, but he's going to do it back to back. He won the Audi championship last season, and now he's on the verge of getting the GTP championship. Aaron Humphrey has to finish 4th or better to try and stop Javier Del Olmo from clinching it here today. There will be all kinds of variations. We'll try and keep track of it, though, in the meantime. But those are the main two. Fair and Grau can't really overtake him, mostly because of the drop points that these drivers have at their availability. We also have the GTO championship, and well, that sees Yuko Leskala currently leading the way as he typically does. And I think he may have actually already clinched it, even though it's 22 points and it's 25 for a win. Again, those drop points do help him out, and he's been so dominant this season. I believe it's quite likely that if he has not already wrapped it up, he will after this round, unless something completely dire happens, which in Camel, you can't always count against. You can see it is very close, though, between Doug Cloud, Josh Brain, Noel Loomberg, and Ove Trangerade back there in the battle for the 5th position. A lot of drivers in that one. But Zippy, why don't you walk us through the race details for today's event?
So as you were saying, Joe, this is the penultimate round of the Camel GT Championship. It is actually an iRacing official series as well, so anybody who wants to take part, by all means, you can. It is a top split that we go and commentate on, but there is multiple races going on. So even though it's getting near the end of the season, if you want to get involved, take part, get step in. If you like the car, do it for the next season. But it's a 40-minute race, open setups as well. I don't know about yourself, Joe, but I'm not particularly skilled at setting up a car. So if you need to, the community is very supportive with that. So they will help you. They do put up setups for both the Audi and the Nissan. They can't help you with driving and keeping it clean, though. That's all on you. So a penalty at 17 instants and disqualification at 25. Obviously, if you wreck the car, there isn't a backup. These are vintage machines, one-of-one material.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah. As we watch from Topi Kortanemi, who just took a win in the Lotus 49s a little bit earlier this morning over at Bathurst. He's now hopped into the Audi and is going to try and see if he can take a victory here in Florida. And he is certainly looking quick today based on what we saw at Bathurst, despite lacking practice there. We're still waiting on the first times to come across the board, and it looks like Laust Olsen is going to be the first among them all in those prototypes to to finally get one down. Here is our current championship leader, Javier Del Olmo, who is still heading around the banking and into that NASCAR chicane that is added on the NASCAR road course version here, Zippy.
Oh, I've got to hand it to Javier. You know, I've never seen anybody be able to win or potentially win both classes of car in a series. So that is absolutely fantastic driving. But he's currently sat in fifth. I don't know how long he's going to stay there. I mean, there's still 4 minutes left to go qualifying. Get a bit of heat in the tyres, get a nice clean lap. Maybe you can pull out a pole.
Yeah, and it is pretty cool. You mentioned the heat in the tires, 71 Fahrenheit on the track surface, since this is a nighttime race, and thankfully the track is lit up. So even though the Audi does not have headlights, they should be able to handle it. There you can see the track and air temperature pretty close to one another. And Laust Olsen coming down into the braking, still on provisional pole through the bus stop chicane, been renamed recently to Le Mans, and out towards now the NASCAR chicane. I'm showing him as looking pretty good on this lap. He could extend himself over Timothy Reed, who's only 200ths behind currently.
That's definitely a close margin, but we'll see if he can keep it together there, Joey. Joe, oh, my apologies, I should know better, but we'll see if he can keep it together as he heads towards the line. But it's interesting you mentioned the lights as well. Now, I remember doing a race at Sebring and was driving the Corvette GTE on that occasion, and Sebring's not a lit track. And miraculously, with a smashed out front end, no headlights, I got faster. So potentially the guys in the Audi, this could be a winning formula for them. At least it worked for me.
That's an interesting perspective on it. Timothy Reed coming around still has not been overtaken by anybody for that second position, but he's trying to go quicker than Laust Olsen, who did not improve on that last lap. Reed crosses, and his lap gets deleted. So something happened out there that he either touched the wall or just went off the circuit. Down in the GTOs, Arturas Kundalis is actually faster than Yuko Leskala right now, but there is Yuko coming out of the final chicane. Looked like he spun up the rear tires just a little bit. The number 3 will cross the line, 48-1. That definitely pops him ahead of Arturas this time.
Oh, it's just so hard driving some of these vintage machines there, Joe. Like, driving aids, they didn't exist then. You know, you might have got ABS in that era, but then it would have been a very primitive system. So, understandably, spinning up the rears maybe a little bit hard on the right pedal, especially as well. These cars, they've got big stonking turbos on them. You know, once that boost kicks in, you know, it's just you, the rubber, and the road. It's relying 100% on mechanical grip. So, you know, sometimes you just got to feather it in gently. You can't just let that big loud pedal go full send.
The Audis thankfully do have 4-wheel drive, which helps it somewhat, but you can still see them get quite loose in places as we watch Doug Cloud, whose first lap also was invalidated. So he'll come back around here into the braking of the final chicane as we check his onboard camera. The car looks awful loose as he took a couple stabs, and you can see him shake his head. He's not happy with that one.
I gotta say though, he's wearing a fantastic T-shirt there, Joe, and I also approve his wheel. I believe I have the same one. It looks like the Fanatec potentially with the Porsche rim, but I'm not 100% sure. Excellent camera though. Thank you for putting that up.
Great minds think alike, I guess, or similar tastes there, as Doug Cloud was able to get that one to count, but it was a 49-1. That puts him in 6. Ove Trangerade who was very close to a second place in the Lotus 49s, but lost it on the final lap. Can he try and maybe make up for that here today? As he will cross, second lap does count. And what do you know? It actually puts him in P2. He'll overtake Arturus for the front row.
Nicely done, nicely done. Certainly, it's definitely a strong field as I look at the iRatings of the guys in here, and I wouldn't even hold a candle to a single one of them there, Joe. Like, myself, on a good day, I'm rocking 2200. The lowest iRating I'm seeing in this whole split is in the 29s. So, skilled drivers are plenty.
It looks like grid is ready. And yes, this is top split. So this is the fastest of the fast in this car. Andreas Valenteus has taken the pole away from Laust Olsen while we weren't looking. He'll have Laust next to him, and then Timothy Reed starting in third. Heitor Sintes Galindo will be P4 as Alex Ott starts in fifth, returning once again. Very impressive stats for him, having had 2 wins out of 6 starts. Farron Grau is 6th position, and Fernando Serrato is 7th. And it's Brendan Lim starting P8 today. Dylan Freckleton will be on the inside of row 5, and Javier Del Olmo, our current championship leader, only qualified 10th. It's a little bit low for him. Aaron Humphrey will start from 11th, as Fabian Jungbluth will be P12. And then it's Tobias Rohner in the 13th spot, followed by Javier Mascara. Ian Lane starts 15th today. He has Martin Kraytrick to his outside. Eduardo Jaramillo is 17th. And then Miguel Sansano in 18th. Chad Rogers in the 19th position. And Germain Suarez in 20th. 21st goes to Luis Henriquez, and Matt Malone will start 22nd. What about the GTO field here, Zippy?
So if we look on first, we've got Yuko there with Ove right alongside him. Arturus and Franco taking up row 2. Topi, I'm pretty sure I've seen him from the Lotus 79s, the Finnish driver. He's there on row 3 with Ian Brasfield right next to him. Doug Cloud and Ian Hayclocks taking up row 4 with Seamus Power and Josh Brain in row 5 for the Audis.
And then to wrap them up, Philip Savoy, the last on that field. Jason Clapper also did not set a time, as he traditionally does, so he'll start from the back of that field. They are lined up and ready to go here on the back stretch as we take a look, and the temperatures have not really changed all that much. Even with the extra chicane around here, I feel hopeful, Daniel, that despite the chaos we typically see in Camel, they should have, I think, plenty of time to deal with the traffic on the oval portions.
I think it's all about as well, when you get multi-class racing, you really want to try and time your pass. I mean, sure, you could send it tight, force the issue going into a tight right-hander, but honestly, in a track as spacious and with such straightaways and bank section here as Daytona, you've really got to time the pass. I mean, you're not going to gain anything really from just sending it in deep other than put your car at risk. Now, don't get me wrong, if you had a long, windy section, say it was like the mountain on Bathurst, for instance, okay, I can understand forcing the issue, but Daytona is a lot more forgiving. However, these guys are here to race, and it doesn't matter how much real estate you give them, they're always going to be wanting that same specific amount. It's like, who gets to take the prettiest girl to the dance? Well, it's the same thing with the racing line. Everybody wants to take her out.
All right, well, let's see who gets to claim it, especially down into turn 1 as they work their way through the chicane. Unlike NASCAR, they actually have to take the chicane here at the start. Pace car peels in. That's going to make life interesting for the Audis when they get the green flag back there. Valenteus takes the green, and he shoots away quite quickly as we go racing for the penultimate round in Camel GT. Already Timothy Reed going to try and overtake on Laust Olsen into turn 1, and he gets the nose fully ahead. Somebody chucked way out to the outside. Looks like that might be Fabian Jungbluth in there, and Fernando Serrato. Unfortunately, they'll head down into the International Horseshoe. Zippy, what about the GTO starts?
It's definitely a little bit of close action there, but they appear to be getting through clean so far. Obviously, a few less cars in the field, but they've had that big bank section, and then they basically get bottlenecked into that couple of corners just there. I can see why we had a couple of collisions potentially, and not only that, we've got the cold tires as well. But right now, we've got Valenteus in first with Reed in second and Ott in third.
Yeah, I saw one car flipped on its lid there in that opening incident, and that was Dylan Freckleton, unfortunately. So he's had to take a tow and try to get back out on track. Laust Olsen currently down to 4th after he qualified so well, lost out to Reed and Ott. And as we follow him in line here on lap 1, he is now going to try and successfully navigate through that Le Mans chicane ahead of them. It does appear that Reed and Valentine is kind of stretching away.
I'm seeing Ian Lane has just dropped through the field as well. There we go, and we can see as well live on the camera. Something's gone wrong for him. Let's have a quick look at the replay.
Let's see if that was that chicane. Love the the old Gordon livery that he's got. The Jeff Gordon livery, very appropriate here. But as we break down into Le Mans, it looks good at the start. Too much curb on the exit. Bounced it around and, gets absolutely plowed into.
It looked like he had a bit of damage at the left rear as well, Joey, just before, he really ate the wall. You can see it looked like he had a little bit of door rubbing as well. As you just look there, that left rear corner, you can just see.
I think that's from the curb when he struck it. Yeah.
Damn.
So just maybe hit it a little too hard there, and that popped it up. Meanwhile, we got to go to the lead in the GTOs because Ove Trangrade is now your leader ahead of Yuko Leskala. Overtook him, but the slipstream has kept this pack extremely close. It goes all the way down to Seamus Power before you get any sort of break in the line.
Oh, definitely. It's a huge part of racing, I find, and especially with these older cars, you got to try and stay in the draft. Hugely huge, especially at a track like Daytona. That draft is absolutely monumental. As Toby, that was an aggressive pass there. Kundelis really forcing the issue there, but really deep pass. I actually thought Toby was going off for a second there.
Yeah, so Kundelis manages to get by. Also, I think Franco Scurry missed a shift and got hit multiple times by other cars. But look at this pass from Arturus. Aggressive, but he did it clean.
Yeah, as long as you get by clean, that's all that matters, don't get me wrong, rubbing, it does happen as part of racing, but certainly you want it to be the cleanest pass you can possible. You don't want to go out and ruin anybody's race, or, you want to, all right, you can give a little bit of a nudge, get past, but, it just doesn't feel as good. Don't get me wrong, we're race drivers, we want to go and we want to be in the lead, but, it doesn't feel like good karma.
Oh, more accidents. Ian Haycox, Franco Scurry. I already mentioned Franco having his problems getting the car into gear. It's been a bit since we've seen him. Instead, he was on the other end of it. Seamus Power in front is not going to quite go. And you could see he tried to check up, but there just wasn't enough time. And into Ian he goes. So, and Seamus said he was trying to get to the apron in time over the radio, it sounds like, but he just didn't have enough time behind him. Other drivers get into him, already proving to be a bit of a problem out here. We check in with Yuko Leskala in second once again before we hop over to Laust Olsen, who still has not regained his second place starting position. So as we now find ourselves on the turn 3 banking and heading towards the NASCAR chicane. That is Alex Ott in front of him. Going to line themselves up. Much later braking in these Nissans than you have in the Audi. Getting pretty close under the braking, but the curb, unfortunately, Zippy looks like paid to that as Olsen loses multiple car lengths.
Yeah, these cars are so low, Joe, you can't get too greedy on the curbs. It's not like it's a small curb either. You definitely feel it, and if you bottom out the car, at that point you basically have infinite suspension trouble, infinite spring rate. So then any way that you think the car is going to handle, just throw it out the window. So we can see the brakes absolutely glowing on the 16 car of Laust Olsen.
Yep, middle of the night with the cool conditions. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of that in some of the heavier braking zones. Kundelis now running in third position. And a big tow from Leskala means that both he and Kundelis have a shot at it down into the chicane. They're going to go, at least one of them, by Ove Trangrade. Arturus decides to stay behind. They're still towing along Topi Kortaniemi in a 4-car run, and a good switch back from Ove here. Zippy could give him a pass and a 1.
I think Candelas, he's got the right idea right now. I'd let these two guys scrap it out. You know, often I've seen it in racing where you can see like such a huge draft. He's going in brave though. I don't know if I'd want to pass there, but he is making it happen. But he's going to be on the outside line on this next corner.
Yuko gave them all up, and I wonder if that means that he is indeed thinking maybe long term, knowing that he does not have to risk himself, and falls back down to the back of this group. He's going to allow Ove to push the air for the quartet, and along they go. And I think Laust Olsen may have had a major problem because he is now down to 9th position. So we got the replay. This is once again into Le Mans. And was it the curb again? Oh, it was the last one this time, Zippy.
Oh, I mean, I get it. You want to explore all the track and you need to get the best line possible, but sometimes it's risk versus reward, and usually it's a case of making a pass. But in this case, it's a case of, how aggressive do you go with the track?
And Del Olmo starts to lose some spots. Now, what did this? This looked like he was coming out of turn 1. So here is the replay. Braking on the way in. Oh, you can see that rear of the car start to break loose very early, Daniel.
Ooh. He did a job not to end up in a contact there, but I imagine you just come off a very fast straight, you've put the hammer down, you've put the brakes on, and all the weight from that car is going to be riding on them front tires, so the rear's just got a little bit light, and I think just maybe a little bit of angle, and it's just started to go round on him, and he did a great job to catch it in the way he did, albeit he didn't manage to keep it exactly straight. I got to hand it to the guy. He kept it out of the wall. It was tough going.
Yeah, remember, Del Olmo essentially needs to win with Humphrey finishing 4th or lower, I believe it is, or lower than 4th. I need to double check on that for him to clinch today. That's obviously far from the scenario right now, but we've seen that in the past, these things can certainly switch around quite quickly. There is Aaron Humphrey up in 5th. He finishing ahead of him. I mean, that's really all he needs right now, is to continue at least keep the hopes alive as he weaves his way through the chicane.
Either way, I mean, regardless, I mean, he's sat pretty right now. I mean, absolute power to the guy for being able to do that, because the Nissan and the Audi drive so differently. As we can see, Del Olmo, he is keen. He is certainly right up the rear bumper of that car, and I think he's going to try and, maybe use the big bank section, forcing it side by side. He's on the outside line right now, but that'll give him the inside on the next, and that door is closed hard in front of him.
Yeah, Kratrix not interested, despite it looking like under braking, Javier was at least slightly ahead. Tries to tuck underneath on the exit of the International Horseshoe, but no dice, and still he'll have to try again later. This is definitely holding him up. He needs to go catch up to Roner, and of course Humphrey, who is the next car ahead of him, his championship rival.
Yeah, he's definitely motivated, but, at the end of the day, we're still early at this point at the race. We're about 10 minutes in. There's still 30 minutes to go. And as we're watching the field as well, we've seen the curbs so far. The curbs can be an absolute killer for these the GT prototypes, and it's just, if you get too low, if you get too greedy, or potentially you try and go too wide at a point. Oh, Malone!
The popular streamer, unfortunately, off at turn 6. He'll get it turned around and back on the track, but what put him here? That's Mascara in behind him as they break down to the left-hander. Car just did not want to turn, and he did clip the wall hard. Look at the damage.
Oh, no amount of Twitch bits is going to fix that car, Joe. That is definitely going to hurt.
Yeah, that's a good point. And see, he's not running completely last. Freckleton, with him being on his lid, is, I think, the last of those running. Oh, and that is it. And Malone is now our new retiree in the race. He's out of it. A lot more damage from that little image that we saw. Not sure what exactly happened. Farron Grau, in the meantime, this is the battle for 7th as we watch Javier Del Olmo having, actually, he must have recently overtaken him.
Yeah, he's making the moves through the. I know what I'm trying to get to. This is why I have a racetrack. If you give me an open street, I'm going to get lost. But same with words. But Farron, he's nearly 3 wide through that corner. An absolutely impressive maneuver, impressive driving. But this guy seems motivated. Del Olmo is going to have to watch his rear bumper.
There's a reason he's leading the championship and why he's also won it over in the Audis last season. Also, I went back and checked, so it looks like he passed Krajcik and Grau passed Martin as well. So unfortunately, the 29 losing 2 spots and just a couple corners as you see him now in that orange and white machine. Del Olmo, one of his strengths when he was racing in the GTOs previously was the fact that he was consistent. He was quick. He was challenging Jukka Leskala at times, who is lightning fast in that car, but usually just dropped the car home. And I wonder if that's where he's just focused right now is let's get the positions, but let's bring it home. And we've had a problem with Cortiniemi here. Oh, no, he's actually taken a position, Zippy.
Oh, that's fantastic news. Now, Joe, am I right? This is the same guy that I've seen in the Lotus 79s. That, like,
it is.
Yeah, this guy just dominates behind the wheel. Like I'm a fan. It's one of those things where like I get to commentate these races and that, and then you got start to see familiar names. And you know we got Matt Malone, who's a streamer and currently out of the race. But I'm rooting for Topi at this point. Like I've seen the guy drive, and we've spoken to him in the booth before, and he's just fantastic people. But you know, if he wants that top step of the podium, Condelis, you know, he's in the way of that, and he is going to have to pull some rabbit out the hat to try and get by.
I think Arturas does have a win or 2 to his name. I'll double check the stats here in a second. So not unheard of for him. In fact, I'm pretty sure of these top 4, all 4 have taken victories so far. Now they are getting overtaken by our overall leader as he is getting through. Oh, sorry. I think we've had a problem with Del Olmo. We have. It's with Farron Grau into the Western Horseshoe. He's getting back onto the track, and there's another car ahead of them as well, Chad Rogers. 3 cars potentially involved in some sort of incident at the Western Horseshoe, Zippy. Let's take a look and see what happened.
So you can see here he's trying to get past the Audi while trying to make another pass as well, and it looks like 3 cars potentially did not fit through that section of track. He's taken the scenic route. Currently, it looks like he's kept it out the wall. I think he may have got away without damage there. I'm reserving judgment for the minute.
He was heading in there pretty fast.
Oh.
Yeah, so
the left rear getting nudged.
Farron Grau, tried to stick his nose in, and there just wasn't enough space. Oh, just slowed it down. I have to admit, I doubted you, Zippy. I thought for sure he hit the wall there.
Well, I'm glad he didn't, but certainly, you know, he already had a challenge ahead of him. Well, that challenge just got even harder. It looks like Grau, he wasn't as lucky. It looks like his car is now a little bit cosmetically and potentially mechanically challenged at that point, but Del Olmo rolls back to 15th, but Humphreys must be very proud about this, well, very happy about this. He's currently in 5th, and he's got quite the gap over, but I'm going to give a little quick mention here. Jason Clapper is currently up 15 spots in the GTP field. That's an outstanding result. I think he drives a 79 as well, does he not?
He does. He's known for not qualifying everywhere he goes, and we're not sure why, as Martin Krajcik is trying to escape Jason Clapper and keep from losing one more position to him, as these Audis certainly causing a change in the racing line for them. That's Brassfield, who's going to get back to the racing line behind Clapper, who misses his apex by a mile and now loses out tremendously to Martin.
That number 12 Audi being Brassfield as well. I believe the front of that looks damaged, Joe. Potentially the left side as well. I don't know. Is that me or is that? Can we agree on that?
Let's see. Yeah, left side does look like it has quite a bit. I don't think the front has damage from what I can tell, but a little bit far away in the angle, at least for him now.
I'll tell you what, I did just notice as well. He is running the paint of the Volvo 850R BTCC car. Oh, that's fantastic. I'm a Volvo guy. I'm sorry. Come on, Ian. You got to do it. You need a podium now. Just because of your paint, I am cheering for you, sir.
They love their classic liveries in these cars. And you'll definitely see a few as time goes on. Defending to the inside, though, Ove Trangrade keeps Jukka Leskala behind him. Jukka certainly not looking like he's trying anything hardcore here, but in front of them, a little bit deep from Arturas, allows Ove to pick his pocket.
Was that 2 for 1? It was almost like he came through with a buy one, get one free.
I think, did he pass? No, because Jukka was behind him, so he just got one position on that one. But yeah, he went from defense to unintentional attack, and that puts him up to P2 now. But I have a feeling, based on the draft that we're seeing, Daniel, that this is going to be changing hands constantly. We still have 25 minutes left. Oh,
he's definitely motivated, but I find as well, once you've made a nice, good pass, I mean, you're just like, okay, that's done. And you celebrate it briefly, but then you're like, okay, on to the next one. Like, I've obviously got pace. And look, he is right on the rear bumper of Topi. And I'm having a little bit of a conflict here because obviously I've seen Topi drive. He's a fantastic driver. But, you know, Trengard is just absolutely sending it. The man is motivated, but they've got the GTP cars currently making their way by. You can see there the green car behind him. He's trying to catch a little bit of extra draft. It wasn't quite enough, but again, you got to time that placement, Joe. You got to time when you're going to make the move, because while you could try and force an issue if you're Trengard behind him, you don't want to try and cluster up the GTP cars because it's just generally it ends badly. You know, you want to wait until they're out of the way and then make your move.
And Ove is known for loving a good battle. He doesn't back down. He doesn't sit and wait patiently for this one, as they got another of those GTPs in behind them, getting blocked in. No pass, though, down into the NASCAR chicane between Ove and Topi. And Topi and Ove are two drivers that have raced in all three of the vintage series that we cover here on GSRC. Timothy Reed, I know we'll see in at least two of them. Now they're going around the outside, really forcing these drivers to be pinched down.
That was definitely tighter than it was for Comfort, for sure. Especially going through that chicane now, I would be absolutely having kittens. You know, we would need to be getting like a donation stream to adopt the things up at this point. You know, certainly a tense moment at the track, but these guys, they're decent drivers. You know, it's been very clean so far. We've only seen that one incident earlier where Del Olmo and I think it was Grau Grau, they got involved. There's a little bit of lap traffic going on, but so far it's been pretty clean. You know, if you compare it to an iRacing special event, potentially with strength of field of like 1500 IR, not always as clean as this.
Exactly, and they do pride themselves on clean racing, even though it is chaotic in this series. And you are seeing correctly, Kundalis overtook Trengard down in the International Horseshoe with a smooth move, so that moves him up into second. But they got to be careful. It's now 9/10 behind Topi. I think they'll still feel enough of the draft even from this far back, but they can't let him break it.
Absolutely. Now, if you're Candelas and you're Trengard, I apologize. How do you say his name? Because you do it
Ove
much better.
Trengard. I might be mispronouncing it, but he's never complained over all the years, so we just roll with it.
Okay, so Trengard, we got your name right or you're not watching, and if so, you should be. But Trengard, if I was you, I would be sticking back to the bumper of Candelas and work together. As you can see, he's getting a little bit held up there. That might be enough. Yeah, it's closed in from about a second to 4 temps, 6 temps now as another GTP slots in. This is the beauty of multi-class racing, and you can hear my voice basically falling over itself like I'm having an Arkwright moment here. But the multi-class racing, you can have a gap of a second, and then it can be 4 temps, 6 temps, as we've just got to experience it here. And now Candelas and Trengard, they're pushed right close together, but they've got to focus on the task at hand. If they fight, Topi is out of here. He is going to leave, and he is going to run away with that pole.
Oh, something happened to Leskala, though. Why is he in pit lane? There's no scheduled pit stops in this series. He's accrued some serious damage on the left front, and I'm trying to figure out where that came from exactly. It had to have been a bit ago here.
It looks like a dog has gone and chewed aggressively on his left front corner. I can give you that for review, but definitely doesn't look like he's going to be out on the track soon. See if we can find some footage shortly.
Okay. So I think...
Here we go.
He clips the wall coming out of turn 1 on the left-hand side. This was on lap 10 for him when this happened. It definitely took some digging for me, and he's decided to retire the car. There it is right there. So just unfortunately maybe cut it a little bit too close, maybe with the traffic coming behind him. I'm not sure. This is a strange line.
I think he's tried to leave space for the GTP, and he's got too tight, because I think we're going to see a GTP go. There you go. I think that's Grau ahead of him. 21, is that Grau?
Yeah, I believe you're right.
26.
And the Audis do know that often they will sometimes need to try and leave space, and maybe he just tried to be too generous, and that has damaged the car beyond repair. And now he's done. As Serrato, in a similarly painted car to Grau, is now having his own little fight. This is with Suarez, Germain Suarez, that I think they're having this fight.
And I got to say as well, quick shout to our director. That was an absolutely fantastic camera view. I love that. Absolutely love that. More of those, please, Mr. Director, sir. Bob O'Brien on the directions. But yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. He asked and he does oblige. And you can see the Ferris wheel in the back. But absolutely fantastic pass, clean pass as well. Really tight and good respect as well for each other. But certainly, especially at this track, a pass does not mean you've got the position, because as soon as you get past, you're now onto this bank section, and he's going to make so much time up in that draft. And you can see there's another car behind him who's going to be hoping that these two guys fight and then slows him down. That's Javier Mosquera, who's definitely, so much curb there. I'm surprised he held on to that.
He's got to be careful. Yeah, he's lucky that he didn't bounce it too high up. We have to remember, much like in the Lotus 79s, these Nissans use ground effects for their downforce, so you really don't want to disconnect it from the road like that.
Now, I don't know. Ooh, we'll leave that point for a minute. The top three are now in a full-on fisticuffs. This is a freeway grudge match going on. We've got Topi, we've got Candelis, and we've got Trengrade all in for a shot at the podium at this point. The podium fight, everybody's going to be on the step at this point, but the case is who gets to stand just that little bit higher.
Exactly, and they've lost one of the main culprits in this. Almost 3 wide. Arturus maybe seen his rival take a go at things, decided, nope, my turn first, and manages actually to successfully overtake Topi Cortiniemi, who now has to try and hold back Ove Trangrade as well, all over that rear bumper.
Oh, I thought that was going to end in chaos there, but Topi's, you can see there, he's got the inside line. He's getting a bit of an overspeed from Candelis ahead of him, and such a tight section of the track. Now, I'm wondering, are these guys going to keep sticking it in the corners, or are they going to rely solely on the drive? Like, as a driver, at this point, it becomes down to, okay, where am I faster, where am I slower? Because even though these guys will be posting similar lap times, I find that, some people will be better at getting an exit speed from one corner, some people will be better at, getting an entry. It's all about, where are your strengths within that part of the track, and then playing to that.
It's a good point, and as we follow them through the infield once again down towards turn 6, everybody's going to be focused on making the exit of 6 their strength a little bit better than for Topi. Then Arturus, as he keeps it tight down to the inside and then swings out wide to try and carry the speed. Now, will he actually try to make the pass here, though? Coming up to Le Mans, he's got a huge run. He's going to be forced to the outside. He's going to give it a try.
Oh, but you say that, Kringrade's going, 3 wide!
Coming into the corner as they break far to the inside there for Ove. He gets it away 2 wide into the Le Mans chicane, neither willing to give way, and it looks like they'll make it out the other side somehow, but they have lost gobs of time to Ove.
Oh, I thought that was going to end in misery, but I've driven this track myself, and I think I've driven it in this car as well, and it is an absolute hoot to drive, but one of the places I've always been nervous of passing, it's almost my Achilles heel here, is going through that chicane. Like the Le Mans chicane used to be the bus stop. To me, it's always going to be the bus stop.
It's both.
I'm a creature of habit, the trick is to get me in the right habit, but absolutely, you can see there, they lost so much exit speed, and Trengrade just absolutely capitalizing on that. But the question is, there's now a second back, is that draft still going to be there? Is it going to be enough? I mean, this is not like modern day aerodynamics. I mean, the Audis will still punch a hole in the air, but is it going to be significant? We've seen them 6-7 tenths where it's noticeable and you can get a bit of a run, you can close that gap, but has that gap become too far now? Has Trengrade got the opportunity he needed to be able to run away with this?
It's about a second apart from one another, so yeah, he may have done just enough. He's going to have to push, though, and hope that they'll continue to fight one another here. But I think Topi and Arturus are both longtime experienced drivers in this series. They're no doubt going to be aware that they need to try and work together somewhat. So we'll check back in on that in a little bit. Del Olmo, after multiple troubles here today, is on his way trying to gather up a few positions. Mosquera is his next one as he swings out very wide into turn 1 and cuts back, but nothing doing.
It was definitely a really wide line. I thought he was going to cut in harder, perhaps potentially an unforced error, but you can see he's going up the inside now, and I'm going to say he's got that slam dunk, because even though he's currently now back in 12th, we know he's got the pace to do much bigger. At the minute, he is working his way through the field, but I've got to ask quickly while we're thinking about our GTO battle as well. Joe, do these guys normally bump draft? Because is the Audi good for that?
The Audi, yes. The Nissan, no. But yeah, you could see them try to work together in these cars. They're flat enough that you could do that even on the banking, although it's not as often that you'll see it. I will say that Topi might not need it because he's got it down to about 0.4 of a second already and has reeled the Norwegian back in.
That's absolutely fantastic news. I'm really hoping that freeway battle gets back to it. But just having a look at Timothy Reed here, I'm in a little bit of a cluster here because I love the Mazda 787B. That is what this paint scheme is based off. But then my OCD also is annoyed at the fact that it's on a Nissan. I would love it if they bring that full rotor in. That would be music to my. Is it? I'm not too sure, Joe. I understand. I know your historical knowledge is absolutely sublime, certainly compared to me. But is the 787B, is that the same kind of era as these cars? Am I in the right kind of time bracket here?
Different series that they didn't race together because this was an IMSA vehicle, and the 787B was what is in modern day is WEC. I'm not sure what it was called back then, but yeah, and it was 1990 or 1991, so very close on the era. But I don't think they raced against one another.
Well, perhaps iRacing, if you're watching, subtle hint. You know, we'd love to have that full rotor in here. Certainly, we've got the paint job ready. You know, we just need the car. But that would be, oh my god, that would be fantastic. I'm all excited at the thought now. Like I'm a kid in a candy store. But Timothy Reed, he is currently in 4th place, and he is chasing a podium spot.
Yeah, as we come through the banking, Reed catching up to Aitor Sintez Galindo, another multi-time champion over here. In fact, Timothy Reed, also a former champion on the GTP side. In fact, I think it was last season's champion. It feels like a long time ago. I've already forgot. And he's reeling him in each and every long straight that they get. This one not as long with the NASCAR version of the chicane. Oh, but here is that battle in front of them. And in fact, that maybe causes hesitation for Aitor. He goes wide, and there it goes. That's Timothy into the podium.
This is going to be absolute chaos. I think we're about to basically roll the magic 8 ball on this one because you've got this freeway battle for the whole of the GTOs, the whole of the GTO race, and then you got the battle for 3rd place for the GTPs. Now it looks like they're getting by pretty cleanly, but one false move here and one of these GTOs could be out of the running. Certainly, you know, on the flip side, Trent Grade could benefit from this. If he can get like a little bit of a draft or, you know, just gets a timely pass, this could benefit. But it looks like it's going to remain pretty much unscathed, surprisingly. But I got to say, Daytona and the NASCAR layout, I think, adding to that. But these guys, it's like there wasn't even an Audi there. They were just absolutely sending it side by side through the bank section. And I got to ask, Joe, I'm definitely no Adrian Newey. I am not an aerodynamics wizard by any means, but side draft, is that something that you could maybe expand on? Because I've seen in some of the guys say, oh, that was close. That was close. And that was too close.
Yeah, Aitor made really good use of the traffic. He boxed in Timothy and eventually was able to finish the job there in the bus stop chicane. But it looks like Tim is close enough that he could try and fight back. Oh, in fact, he tries to cut underneath him, but is balked at the exit and is slowed up tremendously. He loses many car lengths. To answer your question, yes, and side draft is modeled here in the sim. So I don't know if they are going long enough, fast enough here in these cars that it's really something they would use as much. But in the NASCAR stock cars on the oval, you definitely see it frequently.
Yeah, it's just, I was watching as they go through the bank section. Now, myself, if the car sticks, you know, I stay on the inside line and then that way try and take the shorter route. But I'm seeing a couple of these guys, they're kind of going like in the middle. Others are going to like up on the high side. Now, that's why I was wondering about the side draft as well, you know, and you could see here where Reed was kind of almost alongside. I was wondering if he's getting a little bit side draft. But myself, I'm not that evolved in terms of my aerodynamic knowledge. I generally just try and stick behind the car ahead and ride his bumper until I can just pull out at the very last second and just try and edge past. But I'm wondering here if perhaps the technique is going to be not just try and pass in the bank section, but get up close in through that and then try and get the better exit speed coming out of one of the chicanes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I always say it's easier to pass on a straightaway than it is in a corner. So get those corner exit right, those corners exits right, and that'll set you up well. Especially at a track like this. I mean, considering how many corners go on to very long acceleration zones, Zippy, it's you gotta focus on that.
Oh, for sure. But the more I think about it as well, that last chicane, if you made a pass there, you're really going to have to be like an aggressive pass, a deep pass, because then they got that huge straightaway. You could potentially give it straight back just before the line. I mean, we've got 9 minutes left to go. I'm sure these guys have figured out where is like the tactical place to pass. It's like at Spa. You can make a pass in turn one, but then all of a sudden you're going to go through Eau Rouge, go onto that straight, and the odds are you're giving it straight back again.
Yeah, this obviously not as dramatic with the NASCAR chicane added in compared to what the sports cars usually run here. Without this chicane right here that they're going through, Javier Del Olmo is up to 12th. Suarez still in front of him. And I was checking, Aaron Humphrey is in 6th. I think he lost a position to Roner recently through traffic, but Humphrey's still holding down a good spot. Big snap. I saw the same thing there, Zippy.
Sorry, Joe. I'm having so much fun here, and I've got to say as well, these retro cars now, as you can see, modern cars, modern technology, we're getting screens and everything. And myself, I get giggly like a little schoolgirl. I don't know what the event would be, but I love all the retro gauges. Don't get me wrong, I find a lot of them. Realistically, I wouldn't check them probably as often as I should, but both of these cars have that, and it just excites me. The old mechanical, vintage, archaic, raw is the word I'm looking for. Like the feel and the what's the word I'm looking? Atmosphere, perhaps. Help me out, Joe. What's the words I'm looking for here?
No, I get what you're saying, and yeah, the sort of visceral nature of them is what I love about these old cars. Like you said, no driver aids to help you out. You have to wheel the thing. You have to be steady with your right foot and with your hands. And right now, Arturus is going to have to be steady. He's going around the outside into the NASCAR chicane. Can he manage to make this one stick? The answer is a yes. But Ove could have maybe let that one happen because 7 minutes left to go. Like you said, they could try and snipe it on the final lap, Daniel.
I think Topi's got the right idea right now. He's currently back in third, and he's going to get such huge overspeed, as you can see there. But we got the GTP cars as well making a pass. But if I'm as Topi right now, I'm going to sit back. I'm going to watch these guys because they're clearly fighting. They want that lead. And I'm going to sit back. If I'm Topi, I'm going to study it and see where are they making the pass? How long do they keep that pass? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who's in first, who leads which lap. Not at this point. It's who is first as Barney waves that checkered flag. That's what's going to matter. We've got another GTP going through there.
Oh, and Ove went wide, too wide through the kink. Really doesn't work here. That cost them some time. Up to Arturus, who tries to dash away. All this traffic is causing them multiple headaches. In fact, they got 3 cars that I think are battling for position, trying to intersect themselves into their own battle there for the lead. There they go. That is, in fact, our championship leader, Del Olmo, who is hot on the heels of Sansano.
Yeah, he's definitely on a recovery drive right now. I'm currently in 11th, but I got a feeling he's going to be pushed into that top 10 in just a moment. As you can see here, he's going on the inside of this chicane. He's going to force... Oh, that did not end well. Looks like no damage. Well, saying that, there's a wall there. Where'd the yellow car go?
Well, Sansano cut through the grass, so he's going to have a slowdown penalty. In fact, yes, he does. Although he was awful upset over the radio, and he's trying to gently bleed it back without giving the position away. But I think up ahead of this, he is... Oh, and he got shoved off a second time in one lap. Sansano is hot on the radio button and expressing his displeasure with our championship leader.
I wouldn't mind actually going back. Maybe potentially we can get a replay of that, because by iRacing rules, it actually looked pretty clean. But by pure etiquette, it looked more of a, send it and hope the other guy bails out. Oh, and it's not paid off. Del Olmo, he is, well, it's like John Travolta and Nicolas Cage. That fate is off, Joe.
Oh, down into turn 1, oversteer into the corner. It was all for naught. The aggressive moves have ended his day, and there's too many cars. He will not score points with this one, I don't think. Oh, and did Topi took through the grass there. I hope he didn't get damage from that. Here's the replay of what happened before it. This is the first one. Let's watch up until NASCAR. So yeah, he kind of put himself in a spot where he forced that yellow GTP off the track, and that's what got him angry at first, and he didn't give the time back enough. He's going to hold the track position here as somebody else was off course. Now watch this second one. They'll go side by side, but this time Sansano doesn't give way, Zippy.
Yeah, the more I watch that incident where he sent it into the Le Mans chicane, I honestly think that was clean. Like, a little bit of contact there, but potentially net code. But while it was a very aggressive move, the more, having seen it twice now, I think it was clean. I mean, although he was really sending it on the track, I mean, unless he got a slowdown, from my book, I'd say he was all right. It was just very, very aggressive. Joe, what's your thoughts? Like, I'm on the fence about it.
Yeah, he had the presentation for the first one. Yeah, definitely there. And the second one, he did kind of force him off the track a little bit. So there is that. I can understand being upset over that one, especially considering he had to go over the curbs, which I'm sure damaged the underside of the car. But Sansano, I would argue, got the last laugh because he's the one that's still running. And Del Olmo, actually, no, Del Olmo is still rolling. Oh, okay, he's heading to pit lane. So he's on the apron, and he's going to try and limp it back and get repairs. But it's 3 minutes left. I don't think there's much doing. As Timothy Reed is back in fourth, and he wants that podium spot again.
Yeah, he's definitely keen. He's definitely motivated. And I was wondering as well where Topi had to take to the grass to avoid Del Olmo. I was hoping that he didn't get out of a slowdown, but I was just checking the timings now, and those Audis are incredibly close. But let's keep an eye on this GTP battle now, because Timothy Reed, he's really been making some moves. You know, he's definitely, you know, he's shown intent, and you can see there he's going to the inside now. See, this is what I'm saying. If you time that pass, I wonder if it's going to be enough. If he can get a great enough exit speed, potentially break early. He's forced it through there, through turn one. Can he keep it, though? You know, he's... Again, that last chicane and then that straight, if it's just short enough, he may be able to get away with it. If you can lead into that last chicane and cover that chicane and block it and, you know, take like an offline, you know, just stop anybody else going in too wide, it may be enough, but defensive driving 101 will have to be the course of action.
And we saw Aitor get awful loose there around the outside. Looks like the grip is just not there off the racing line. I think we are going to get one lap to go pretty shortly, because Valenteus is on the backstretch with 1:40-some left on the clock. Haven't talked about Audrius this whole race. He is 7 seconds ahead of Alex Ott. Ott has not been able to catch up to him as we get side by side down into the NASCAR chicane between P2 and P3. Koundalis will get it, but he gets a bad shift off the corner. Quartzinemi sneaks by, but they're losing ground on Trangrade. It's a second and a half between them.
Yeah, this may have been the what Trangrade has been waiting for the whole race. I mean, I was wondering as well. I was watching the time screens. I was wondering what separated these guys up, and potentially, you know, maybe he's gone too far ahead. It's come down to a battle of who gets the second spot. You know, final lap now. Barney's waving the white flag. You know, I don't think the drivers are, though. I think it's all guns a-blazing at this point.
Audrius can cruise at this stage. Not the biggest gap we've seen out of him. I think we've seen him finish as far ahead as 20 to 25 seconds at times. He certainly has a ton of speed, but maybe the slipstream made it a little harder here today to try and drop those. As we watch that battle for what is now second, Trangrade's been caught up by, actually already half a second. And Timothy Reed seems to have had a spin in turn one because he's long behind Aitor Sintes Galindo now. Not sure what caused this.
Oh, hopefully he managed to keep it clean. You can see that's his car there. I recognize it because of the 787B livery, but let's have a quick look at the replay, see what's going on.
Well, we're going to try and grab that one, as that was not quite the correct position. So here it is down into the corner. Did he must have lost it all on his own. He did. Oh, he's going to be kicking himself.
Same spot again. It's got to be, because imagine as you come into that, you're braking quite hard. You're going to start to bleed the brakes off a little bit, but still not quite enough. You can imagine that all the weight is loaded up on that front tire, probably the right front as well. Yeah, because you'd be turning the right front, taking all of the weight there.
And the leader is coming up to the finish here. Audrius Valenteus down to the NASCAR chicane. Has nobody near him to worry about. Those cars are not for position. another victory as the number one jumps in to dominate the field. And that was just behind Ove, Topi, and Arturus. They'll get a full extra lap.
This is excellent news. And they've got back together as well. I was seeing the same thing. Now, for me, this has been the battle, but Timothy Reed, look, he's like trying to make a recovery there. He's definitely going to be put. Ooh, he's forcing it on the inside. That's contact. I don't think that was a clean pass, Tim. I'm sorry. I'd be giving that back if that was me. It's... Well,
he's going to carry it on and finish in fourth officially, and Roner will have to settle for fifth. Yeah, I'd have to give that one another look to really get a thought on it. But let's watch this battle now, because they're getting ready to emerge back onto the oval for the last time, and they are within drafting distance of Topi Kortiniemi. Who is going to take this in the end?
You can see a little bit there. There's been a bit of paint changed on Topi's car, the left rear corner. I didn't see him catch a curb, and the Audis have been a bit more forgiving with the curbs as well. But it does appear they spread out a little bit now. We've got 5 temps and 4 temps respectively. But we know that these cars to draft is such a huge thing now. I'm really hoping we can get, like, I want side-by-side across the line. I'm putting in my request there, gentlemen. Please oblige. You know, the viewers of GSRC would also appreciate it. As you can see, Topi closed that gap down to 3 temps now. Needs to get the best exit he possibly can, but then he's got Condelis right behind him as well. I don't know if it's going to be enough, but we're about to find out as they're coming around the final corner.
Down around through the banking. Big run here from Topi Kortiniemi, as he's going to try and see if he can make the pass into it instead of out of it. He's going to be able to get side by side. They're going to have to manage these curbs as well. He's pinched off, and Trangrade will defend successfully and take the win here at Daytona.
Oh, that was tight. Oh, I thought that was going to end in chaos as well. That was a fantastic race. For me, Joe, that was the best race of the season that I've seen so far. Absolutely fantastic freeway fight.
Really good stuff between them. Respectful all the way to the end. Loved what I saw. And Ove came away with it in the end. Great stuff. And that is going to wrap up the race. But of course, we have our post-race show with the driver interviews, as well as the official results coming your way shortly after this break. Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. The NASCAR road course at night, which is definitely an interesting combination, sees Audrius Valenteus decide it doesn't strike him as too odd. He runs away with another win over Alex Ott, who's not able to add to his impressive tally of strike rates on wins. Heitor Sintes Galindo picked up the pieces with a third over Timothy Reed, who gave it away on the last lap after Timothy made a pretty great pass to try and get onto that final podium step. Tobias Rohner was fifth behind him, and Aaron Humphrey keeps his championship hopes alive with sixth place. Jason Clapper finished seventh without a qualifying time, as Martin Krajcik finished eighth. Then it is German Suarez finishing ninth, and Javier Mosquera in the 10th position. Fernando Serrato finishes 11th today, with Eduardo Jaramillo in 12th, and Miguel Sansano naturally upset about some of the moments he had out there, finishing 13th, and Chad Rogers, the last one on the lead lap, in the 14th position. Farron Grau was 2 laps down in 15th, and Laust Olsen likewise 2 laps down in 16th. The rest were DNFs, sadly, in our GTP field. What about over in the GTO finishers here, Zippy?
Oh, we had such an absolutely fantastic race to watch. Overtrain grade, he managed to just about hold on to the win with Topi Courtenimi. I should know better. I've seen him in Lotuses, but in second with Arturus Condelis in third. Josh Brain a lap down. It looks like it may have been a little bit of survival of the fittest there with the Audis. Josh Brain in fourth with Doug Cloud in fifth, Ian Brasfeld in sixth, and both lap down. And then it was like mass murder of the Audis at this point with Philip Savoy, Duco Lestella, Franco Scuri, and Seamus Power. And not forgetting Ian Haycox as well.
Looks like we do have our winner, second place finisher in the GTOs ready to talk to us. Topi Courtenimi, who didn't seem to be too big of a fan of the NASCAR chicane version. Topi, we saw you try to see if you could get by Ove at the end. Was it really tough to try and execute the pass into there?
Yeah, because I noticed that the guys had a different line pretty much every time into that. I don't know if it was defending or something, so I didn't want to end our race in the last chicane, so I took a peek. It wasn't going to work out, so we all finished top 3. Congrats for Uwe.
Well, yeah, and it looked like you guys kind of knew what the deal was, trying to either break the slipstream or just kind of hang with each other for much of the race. Was there any moments where you found that it was difficult with the Nissans coming by? Because we did see a few times into the chicanes or in the infield where it looked like you kind of had to give way a little bit.
Yeah, in the bus stop, I didn't have any issues. There was no silly dive bumps, but a few times it was pretty hairy into the last NASCAR chicane when a Nissan stole your braking zone and then you have 2 Audis in front of you. But fortunately, nothing bad happened.
Well, I'm glad you guys got to race each other all the way to the end, even if it was without Yuko involved in it. Couldn't quite make it back-to-back wins here on Saturday. Are we going to see at least take top spot over in 79s?
Oh, yeah. At the moment, I was shooting for the Triple Crown, but it's gone now. So, but I'm going to race the 79. It's still a second position in the championship is still for grabs with me and Jukka. So. And I don't know about Camel now that Yoko DNF'd. Maybe I still have a shot in Camel Championship. I'm not sure if you guys have done the calculations or not.
I have not. You might actually have a shot at it. With Yuko having a DNF, he did still finish 8th, which should give him a fair amount of points. But I'll have to get back to you with a calculator later.
Okay, thanks.
That was our winner, Topi, I did it again. That was second place finisher, Topi Courtenimi, just so used to it, here today in the number 2 machine. Up next, I believe, finishing second over in the GTPs, Daniel has caught up with Alex Ott.
Hey, Alex, a good result for you, sir. You must be feeling pretty pleased about how that race went.
Yeah, it was a good race. I did not do a very good qualifying, so I had to start from P5, but yeah, then the start, yeah, it went really, really good. So with the start, I could have P3 already. And yeah, then it was keeping the tires cool, trying to follow Tim, and maybe, yeah, attack in the second half of the race. But yeah, then he did a mistake. So yeah, I didn't have to attack anymore.
Well, attrition is a big part of it as well. And you said about keeping the tires cool. Even with it being a night race, were you finding that the tire temperatures were starting to become an issue for you?
Yeah, the problem with the Nissan driving it with low downforce setup is that when you try to push and brake late and get on the throttle fast and early, then yeah, you lit those rear tires up. So what I tried to do was, yeah, brake a bit earlier and a bit less hard, so that yeah, they don't overheat. I could do, yeah, pretty fast lap times in the second half of the race because of that.
Well, you do bring up an interesting point there, Alex. I hadn't even got into the thought of the setup as well, but where it's like a bank section, a lot of open straightaways, like, was it instantly? Did you go to like the low downforce setup? Had you tried a high? Was it like, because I often discuss, where, some parts of the track, the car or the driver will be particularly stronger. Like, are you able to offer the viewers a bit of a comparison between that in terms of the high and lower downforce?
Yeah, I tried in the beginning of the week a little higher downforce setup. It was yeah, easier to drive. Also less punishing for the tires in my case. But yeah, I lost so much time on the straights, and yeah, time made on the straights is the easiest time made. So I had to go low downforce as well, and yeah, keeping it cool in the corners.
Completely understandable, Alex. Certainly, with one more race left to go next week, it's going to be at Long Beach. I imagine you're probably going to take a different kind of approach. Have you put any thought into your finale of the season?
Yeah, Long Beach. Yeah, I don't know which car I'll take yet. I like the street circuits more with the Audi, but I don't know. With the Nissan, it will be high downforce track all the way. I know that.
Well, for sure, and I loved as well hearing about how you're saying about how you really got a feather on the throttle, because both of these cars, the Audi's a little bit more forgiving with the four-wheel drive, but
Yeah.
they're both very raw, very, very mechanical, and it's been great to hear about that. Alex, is there anybody you want to thank as you stood on the second step of the podium today?
I want to congratulate Audius with the win. He was yeah, just too fast today. I want to thank the Camel GT community, yeah, for being so awesome racing, and yeah, see you guys next time. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, Alex, and certainly as well, it's been great to have you in the booth as well. Excellent questions, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
That was second place finisher Alex Ott. Third place finisher was Aitor Sintes Galindo, who we've caught up with as well. Aitor, those last few laps look like quite the emotional roller coaster between you and Timothy.
Absolutely. It was, yeah, I tried my absolute best to fend him off, but today had a lot of space, especially on the bus stop. He could take 3/10 more than me, and it was like, oof, I really need to, my wrist is aching right now. I mean, I give my absolute best. Yeah, shame about the last lap spin though, but yeah, good race to everybody today, especially Alex and Audius, obviously top of the class as well. And yeah, good race for me, podium finish, chunk of iRacing, chunk of points as well, safety. Well, a good day in the office for me.
Well, I know Topi over in the Audis was complaining a little bit about having the NASCAR chicane in there. How do you feel in the Nissan? Was it a welcome extra potential passing zone, or did it kind of hinder things?
Well, it's a good matter because I think the last NASCAR chicane, I'm not so. I mean, no, I don't have much trouble. I mean, it's a new chicane, and I just have to not touch the curbs at all. That's already I already had the mindset already. But what surprised me is the sausage curves on the past of chicane. That thing ruined my lap times every single lap because when I went into the fast chicane, I didn't want to go the fastest. I just wanted to avoid the curves at any cost because I know from experience, and I'm very kind of attest to that. If he's listening to now, he climbed the curves twice and ruined his race. So I didn't want that. So yeah, personally, I prefer this layout with the chicane because I don't like draft races because after the bus stop it goes all the way to the turn one. It's a draft fest, but still, if this layout without the sausage curves on the bus stop would be ideal for me.
I can understand that. Although it does surprise me, I did not expect you to say that you like this one better. That said, you mentioned you try to treat the car carefully by avoiding those curbs. That's going to carry over because we're at Long Beach. You just got to replace curb with wall.
Absolutely, yeah. And also, I'm looking forward to Long Beach as well. It's a track that I always have fond memories. Actually, my first broadcast win was in here in Long Beach. So yeah, looking forward to Long Beach. Try to obviously avoid any walls. It will be the same, but with all the corners in the track. But yeah, it will be fun. I hope and hopefully I get in one piece. Have a good point.
Yeah, hoping that for you as well. And I do remember that first win. Definitely an emotional one. Well, Aitor, congratulations on another podium. And hopefully we'll get to talk to you next week.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. See you next week in Long Beach.
Aitor Sintes Galindo with P3 in the GTP class today. As he said, we'll see you guys next week. Before that, we want to give a big thank you to the Camel GT community for bringing us on for another season of coverage, but also thanks to the team today, Zippy, Rob, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Like we said, next race is Long Beach, Saturday, December 2nd at noon Eastern for the season finale. Be sure to check out our other broadcasts that we have listed here in the meantime. And until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.